Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? It truly is feast or famine. I mentioned that before in terms of making videos, and so I've gone from having nothing to talk about to all of a sudden having quite a bit to talk about. And once again, I have the hubris of thinking it might be interesting. But I literally have a list of topics. I just kind of, I think it's because I've been, talking a lot more with other people on YouTube and whatever, just kind of experiencing some more gameplay and other ideas from other people. So I've been bouncing things off other people, uh, here and there. So my mind's, kind of working on all this junk. But one thing that you know, came up for me a few times was the idea of having some kind of degree of success or failure when you do something. And like most of the games that I grew up with and like, and I tend to gravitate towards, unfortunately, don't necessarily have that. And some mechanics. Some people are talking. A lot of comments on my videos. People are talking about some various mechanics they've used, um, or like that have built-in degrees of success or failure. There's one called the foo mechanic, which I'll talk about a different time because I want to compare that to fudge and everything else. And that's a separate really video because so I don't want to go too off track. And I already have. Look at that. But there's a game called In Nomine, which I need to do a review of, or at least talk about sometime. I talked about playing it at a con. It's a very bizarre game, and you play devils and angels, or demons and angels, and it's Steve Jackson Games, I believe is what it is, and but it's the original game was from France, and it was a very different game in terms of being a little satirical and what have you. Uh, but I'll talk about their mechanic last, but I'm going to talk about like what I would do in something like Lamentations of the Flame Princess or D&D or whatever. Every once in a while, when I may wanted to have some kind of degree of success or failure, like, and this would be more like an ability thing. Like I try to do this, and you roll, whatever you want to use, roll a skill system, roll under your attribute or whatever. The degree of success or failure in a to hit roll is obviously the damage roll. You don't need to do anything else. Um, but one of the things that Inami does is they use a 1d6 die, and it's called a check die. And what this is you roll other dice to determine whether you succeed or fail. And I'll get to their mechanic in a sec. But then you roll this d6, so you got your d6 of a different color. So here's my green one, because otherwise I've got these two blue ones, which I'll talk about the Innomine mechanic soon. You roll that die, and I rolled a 4 this time. And this determines, I can't talk, this determines how well you succeed or fail, and it's up to DM narration. And a 1 is minor, and a 6 is major. So if you roll a failure and you roll a 1, well, you didn't fail all that badly. If you roll a 6 and you fail, well, you failed spectacularly, and so the game master gets to narrate exactly what happens. So you have to be creative. You have to think on your feet. And likewise, if you succeed, and if you roll a 1, well, it's a success. It's no big deal. It's nothing to write home about. You succeeded. That's great. But if you succeeded and you roll a 6 on your check digit, then your check die, then it's a big giant honking success. And the 4 would be somewhere in the middle. And so this is just kind of an idea to okay, if you want to make things a little bit less vanilla and have a little bit of fun with that, you can go ahead and roll a d6 and see like how badly. Oh, roll 5 this time. And then as a game master, narrate how badly or well they succeeded or failed. So that's a little fun. The actual In Nomine mechanic, now that I promised you like 8 times, how does that work? Is they call it the 666 mechanic. Game about demons, and angels. So the deal is you roll 3d6. You roll 2 of them that are the same color, and that's actually it's a d6, 2d6 roll under. So you might have an attribute. It's very similar to something like Advanced Fighting Fantasy. So you have an attribute of like 9. You have to roll 9 or under. So here I go. I rolled a 3, so I succeeded. But at the same time, you also roll this other die of a different color, and that's your check die. And I already told you how that works. So I got a 2, so I succeed with a 2. So it wasn't anything to write home about. I won. The interesting kind of quirky thing about the Innomine mechanic is, and this is just totally flavor, because you're working for archangels or demon princes, is if you happen to roll all 6s, you roll 6, 6, 6, then the 2 6s indicate a success, or they might be a success in this case. It depends. Actually, they'll be a failure, unless you have an attribute of 12 or greater. Then the 6 on the other 6 on the check die, that indicates that the devil himself has taken interest. So whether you're an angel or a demon, if you're a demon, this is great. You can ignore the kind of failure. The devil has taken an interest in this whole thing, and it's going to push things in your favor. If you're an angel, you're SOL. This is a bad deal. And if you roll all 1s, you've rolled the Holy Trinity. and your archangel, or or heaven itself has taken an interest. So even if you're a demon, you roll 2, which is pretty good because that's pretty much success in just about any check in a roll under 2d6 mechanic. Well, heaven took notice, so yeah, you're kind of SOL this time. And if you're an angel, it works great. So that's the basic idea of how the in nomine mechanic works. It's very simple, but once again, that whole check die thing, that requires a lot of thinking on your feet as a game master. But I like this whole idea. We're in the game. It's really cool because Brian, our DM, is a great DM. Had to kind of think him on his feet and say exactly what happened. I failed one roll as an angel when I was trying to move from place to place, really fast, and I pretty much almost tore my body apart because my check die was pretty bad when I failed. I think I rolled a 6 on the check die. So that's it. That's just an idea for you know inserting a degree of success or failure in something like D&D, which doesn't normally have that. Just roll another die and wing it.